Kamala Harris stand on abortion, let's take a look at how they each reacted after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June 2022.
A constitutional right has been taken from the people of America.
Yesterday, the court handed down a victory for the Constitution.
Trump appointed 3 key Supreme Court justices, creating the conservative supermajority that overturned Roe. If elected again, he has said he would allow states to restrict abortion as they see fit.
We moved it back to the states and a vote of the people, and now they're voting.
He has acknowledged that could include potential monitoring of pregnancies or criminal charges for women. Harris, on the other hand, wants to enshrine the protections of Roe v. Wade in federal law now that Roe has been overturned.
When Congress passes a bill to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade, I will sign it into law.
Harris said last year that she and President Biden envisioned a law mirroring Roe. That broadly protected abortion rights until the fetus can survive outside the womb, but allowed bans after that point with exceptions for medical emergencies.
It's the person's decision, not the government's decision. That, in essence, is what's behind my position.
In the absence of congressional majorities capable of codifying Roe, the Biden administration took some administrative steps to try to limit the effects of state bans. They include guidance arguing that federal law requires doctors to perform an abortion in emergency rooms if they believe it's necessary to stabilize a patient. Harris supports those actions. She also opposes a federal abortion ban and has said she would veto it if Congress passed one. Trump said in April that he wouldn't sign a federal abortion ban either, but he hasn't been consistent about that. But a federal ban isn't the only type of limit that could be placed on abortion. Nearly 2/3 of all abortions in the U.S. are induced with a drug regimen that includes mifepristone, which some Republicans have sought to restrict. Trump appointed a federal judge who last year voided the FDA's approval of mifepristone. An appeals court panel that was composed mainly of Trump appointees then allowed mifepristone to stay on the market, but it upheld other parts of the ruling, making the drug harder to obtain. In June, the Supreme Court unanimously rejected the challenge to mifepristone, ruling that the plaintiffs didn't have standing to sue. Trump said during the presidential debate in June that he agreed with that ruling, which he described as having, quote, approved the abortion pill. But because the Supreme Court dismissed the case based on who the plaintiffs were, it didn't address the substance of the case, which is still alive with different plaintiffs. Harris supports access to mifepristone. She also supports a Biden administration policy advising pharmacists that they might violate federal civil rights law if they refuse to dispense drugs such as mifepristone. Then there's the Comstock Act, an 1873 law that prohibits mailing materials used in abortions. Some anti-abortion activists want Trump to enforce that in a strict way that would effectively make abortion inaccessible nationwide, even without a formal ban. In an interview in August, he said,
We will be discussing specifics of it, but generally speaking, no, I wouldn't.
You would not enforce the Comstock Act?
I would not do that.
Harris opposes using the Comstock Act in that way. Harris has made abortion rights a huge component of her campaign. Trump has been much more reluctant to talk about them. But the elections that have happened since the Supreme Court overturned Roe have shown that voters care a lot.